Hey guys, it's me again, Nova, the edgy karate guy, your Tekken buddy. In this video, I'll be covering Tekken 8 Xiaoyu and the whole controversy surrounding her. Let's be clear here. The Tekken 8 Xiaoyu situation is a living testament to how Namco does not understand game balancing. They really don't. And that their compulsion to murder character identities and to power creep the game, rather than bringing an enjoyable Tekken experience, brings a lot of problems within the meta and a lot of dissatisfaction within the entire Tekken player base. It all started when the legend Ni posted this video. His point is that Tekken 8 Xiaoyu is too overpowered for a lot of reasons we will discuss in this video, and he specifically stated that sidestep right AOP as an evasive maneuver is too much, considering Tekken 8 Xiaoyu is not traditional Xiaoyu, far from it actually. She was given one of the most explosive offenses in Tekken 8, coupled with a Miguel level damage output. So according to Ni, it makes no sense a character so powerful offensively also retaining her traditional power to essentially negate entire move lists. This discussion went completely crazy. I've seen Xiaoyu players telling Ni, freaking Ni, to quote-unquote learn the matchup. You can't make this shit up. It's unbelievable, the gall, the audacity of these guys. Ironically, it came from the very same people who play a character that allows them to win without properly knowing a single matchup whatsoever. A character that only demands that you know her own flowcharts, her own Oki setups, and her own panic buttons with universal protection. A character who forces every other character to play according to her own terms and her own skilled rule set. But I digress. Let's go straight to the points. Here's one premise that must be understood for starters, otherwise this conversation cannot lead anywhere. Xiao was always, traditionally, controlled cancer. She's always trying to get away with murder at any cost, but whenever and wherever she commits a crime, she leaves evidence. The problem is that it must be found immediately. Otherwise, the opportunity to make her pay for her crimes vanishes into thin air, so she gets away scot-free to commit even more crimes. What also made her controlled cancer is the fact that in exchange for the universal protection she endows the player with, the fact that the Xiao player is universally protected in a shitstorm of mid-evasion and crushing, while he casually presses buttons like a madman and imposes his bullshit on you, demanding that you always perfectly respond to every interaction and shut down her anti-Tekken with surgical precision. In exchange for this bullshit, she was always traditionally relegated to below average damage output and very, very poor wall carry perspectives. And I will show you firsthand later. This was the price she usually had to pay for her so-called quote-unquote identity. There was a price to be paid for being able to ignore your opponent's move list, while you casually press buttons as a Xiaoyu player. Traditionally, because of her below average damage output, whenever Xiaoyu successfully landed her anti-Tekken on you, you were usually granted, at the very least, a second chance. Even if she did evade your mid or your low and launched you, usually you still had the chance to survive and re-establish neutral control to beat her through Tekken. It's about time Namco realizes it's not just the individual strengths that define or balance a character, but rather also his or her weaknesses. Characters must have weaknesses for identitarian purposes, but Namco pretty much disregarded this quintessential truth since the introduction of Tekken 7. The apocalyptical power creep from Tekken 7 cemented this reality, where Namco feels the way to balance characters is by murdering their identities and giving them overpowered, ultra power creeped moves and properties. Gone are the days Tekken characters were defined by their weaknesses as much, if not even more, than their strengths. So, what made Tekken 8 Xiaoyu so unbalanced? It's simple. Xiaoyu still gets to be Xiaoyu. The power to negate moveless through universal protection on her buttons is still there, more powerful than ever. But at the same time, they erased the checks and balances that contained this character, meaning they greatly amplified her offense in a way it should never be done, for God's sake. It's all because of a massively amplified damage output. This pipsqueak is dealing damage like she's Paul or Miguel, and also because she received a ridiculously broken 50-50 that puts Kazuya Wake Up 50-50 to shame, considering hers has no risk whatsoever and the rewards are absurd. So, you've seen her damage, right? Let's directly compare it to what she was. Also, understand that this is her absolute max damage. This is the absolute best you could extract from her in Tekken 7 when it comes to damage. Now, the newfound Hypnotist 50-50. The Hypnotist stance amplifies the options inside the stance according to the number of steps Xiaoyu takes. She can go immediate option 0 steps, 1 step or 2 steps, which is the maximum power. But back in Tekken 7 there was no 50-50 there. Xiaoyu only had highs and mids in Hypnotist. And the mid was only used as a wall setup that could also be parried or reversed in order to avoid the guaranteed wall splat on block. Now, she gained an explosive 50-50 between a homing 20 frames ultra conservative sweep with insane rewards on hit, and the mid option is now a hit engager that will lead into a combo in open space. Oh, and have I told you that ultra conservative sweep becomes a launcher if Xiaoyu takes 2 steps? Oh, and have I also told you, when Xiaoyu enters hit mode, she can access the maximum power from Hypnotist with 1 step less, meaning if she takes 0 steps, it has the power of 1 step. If she takes 1 single step, she already has maximum power like she took 2 steps. And have I also told you, her launching sweep still gets to be -12 regardless. Imagine having a snake edge that is at the very least 7 frames faster than a snake edge and at the same time -12 on block. You can already see where this is heading, right? Let's be very clear here. The problem is not Xiaoyu having overpowered Evasion from below. This is not new. What Ni showed in his video is not exactly something new. This is what she is since forever, and this is what should actually be preserved to a degree. There is no problem whatsoever if she retained the same level of evasion she had in Tekken 7. The problem is she having Miguel level damage output, while having Kazuya level snowballing potential, while keep her Identitarian universal evasion, which somehow seems to have become even more powerful than it already was in some interactions. True sidestep right AOP, she evades even lows that have dedicated coverage to sidestep right, as Ni himself demonstrated. For example, I am a Jin player. My dedicated moves to answer Xiao AOP, Jin back to 1, Jin back 3 Zen, Jin down 3-3, which doesn't exist in Tekken 8 anymore, and Jin down 4. Back in PS3 Tekken, before the gruesome hitbox nerf on Jin F4, Jin F4 was also a dedicated answer to Xiao AOP. But because of the lateral movement before AOP, even the moves that are designed and dedicated to catch evasive stances, like Xiao AOP herself, Zafina Tarantula, Mantis, Eddie Relax and so on, even these moves end up not working because of the lateral movement coupled with AOP evasive properties all put together in a single evasive maneuver. Apparently, Namco decided that Xiaoyu will become briefly invincible by pressing sidestep into AOP. Now, the only move I have to stop sidestep right AOP is Tekken 8 Jin down 3. I'm sorry, you don't get to have a 50-50 more explosive than Kazuya, with nowhere near the risk involved in Kazuya's 50-50, while at the same time your character protects you and plays for you in every single interaction no matter which buttons you press. In order to get his powerful 50-50 potential, Kazuya doesn't get to have universal protection on his buttons. He doesn't have viable panic options. He doesn't ignore the opponent's move list by pressing sidestep AOP. You don't get to have it all, Xiaoyu players. I'm sorry, I'm truly sorry, but there must be a compromise at some point. I know most of you guys are always defensive when it comes to her. The possibility that people point to your character asking for actual proper balancing might even sound like a personal insult to some of the Xiaoyu player base. The reality is that most Xiaoyu players cannot afford to play actual Tekken. They picked and learned a character that is not Tekken. The true reason Xiaoyu players are so defensive about their character is that if they had to play Tekken for once, the level of performance and results they would display for the most part of the Xiaoyu player base, unfortunately, would be underwhelming to say the least. A Tekken God Xiaoyu player would be at the very least 7 ranks below his rank if he was forced to play a character like Steve, Jin, Reina, Lee and so on. So, we know there is an elephant in the room. It cannot be swept under the rug. What can be done here then? The solution, in my opinion, is reverting Xiaoyu to her sole identity, evasion. She gets to keep her broken mid and even low evasion, but it all involves toning down her offense and bring back sanity into this conversation. She cannot have the explosive offense and damage output she currently has. The Hypnotist 50-50 cannot be so rewarding and simultaneously ultra conservative. What the fuck is a homing 20 frames naked sweep while minus 12 on block for God's sake, while the other option is a safe on parry mid-wall splat that leads into a combo in open space when in hit. It's just too damn much. There are many solutions to solve this problem. One of the solutions would be directly toning down Hypnotist 3, the rewards on hit, and making it at the very least minus 13 on block. At the very least. Another thing they can do is increasing the spending of the hit bar so that she doesn't get to go hit burst at the wall, hit enhance wall ender, and then still having enough resources to impose the broken 50-50 twice on you. This is absurd. She didn't enter hit through an engager. She forcibly entered through burst. It's not fair that this amount of hit is still enough so that she can snowball you twice. Try to understand. If she gets this right twice, you are dead. But if she didn't get it right and you manage to react to her 20 frames homing sweep, nothing happens to her. She paid -12 at the worst case scenario, for God's sake. Every time Xiaoyu uses the enhanced hit hypnotist, the mid or the low option should spend half of the hit bar, not a fucking third of the bar as it currently is. By doing so, Xiaoyu will be only able to mix you once if she uses hit burst into the enhanced hit wall ender. Now, her unique waning moon-like throw, So Shield Me, F2+3. This throw was very unique. It was a defining trademark for Xiaoyu, because it led to 4 different outcomes. Outcome 1, you react and break the throw with a 2 break. Outcome 2, you don't break the throw and get launched for a 73 damage combo. Outcome 3, you mashed forward against the direction she kicked you, turning your character forward and making you completely safe. And finally, outcome 4, you didn't break the throw, but you held down, so your character lies down on the ground. By doing so, Xiaoyu only gets a guaranteed RDS down 4 sweep on you. But now, Namco decided to erase this trademark from Xiaoyu, and if you don't break the throw with a 2 break, she gets a guaranteed easy mode launcher on your back. Why would they do this? That throw was a very unique thing from Xiaoyu. It was the quintessential knowledge check. Why would they remove this? Why would they give her a guaranteed launching throw that deals so much damage, as if she's not dealing damage enough already, for God's sake? Also, F21 should not jail. People should be able to duck this mid-high. I'm sorry. You don't get to have a 16 frame mid that leads into a natural combo hit confirmable string that deals 50 damage and wall splats on top of it all. What were they even thinking? This is beyond absurd. If Namco significantly tones down the absurdity that is Tekken 8 Xiaoyu offense, she gets to keep her evasive identity intact, so Xiaoyu players can enjoy not playing Tekken as they always did. But at the same time, the one who has to deal and defend against Xiaoyu will stop being robbed by a broken character as she currently is. That's it, guys. If you have any suggestions in mind that would balance the power creep abomination that is Tekken 8 Xiaoyu, leave it in the comment section. I'll be glad to join this conversation. Even though I still can't play Tekken 8, I'm doing my very best to not drift away from Tekken because I love this game, and I really want to contribute to this game in any way I can. If you happen to like my Tekken content, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and we'll be seeing each other again. God bless.
Xiaoyu reprimanded Jin and asked him, "How could you do this?" To which Jin responded, "Chase a bag ho. I don't fuck with no groupies. This is reality, my nigga."